Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at the possibility of Krieg the Psycho returning for Borderlands 3. Krieg is an incredibly enigmatic character. Very little is known about him or his backstory, which of course has caused a whirl of fan theories to surface over the years. Well, here in Borderlands 3, there are 8 hidden echo recordings across 3 different areas of Pandora. Today we're going to be listening to each of those recordings, and from there, we're going to be drawing some conclusions about who Krieg was in the past, where he is now, and how we may be seeing him in the future as part of one of the 4 DLCs, or maybe as a side character in one of the numerous free events that are going to be added to the game. So the first echo log can be found here in the Splinterlands. On your screen right now is going to be the exact location where it can be found, and in this particular recording, we get to learn more about the dynamic between Krieg the Psycho and Maya the Siren, who of course had their first interaction during the Meat Bicycle Built for 2 cinematic back in Borderlands 2.
Unjust calamity!
Easy, Krieg, it's okay. You heard what Lilith said. Sanctuary's gone, but we're all still Vault Hunters, including you.
Booped out by the vengeful Rictus!
You aren't just a psycho anymore. Not to me. Not to any of us.
A knotted gut! 2 knives entwined!
I can't stay. I have to go to Athenas. I left those people defenseless, and I have to know more about what I am. It feels important.
Torn apart from pretty lady.
Don't worry, big guy. I'll be back. I promise.
So the big takeaway from this recording is that Krieg is still on Pandora. The name of the echo log is Entwined, and it says not all Vault Hunters left Pandora. This means that the log was recorded just before Maya left for Athenas after the events of the Commander Lilith and the Fight for Sanctuary DLC back in Borderlands 2. Keep in mind that canonically, virtually every Vault Hunter can be said to have taken part in every single Borderlands DLC, because each character is usable by the player. Though the games will rarely reference this in one way or the other, it's plausible to think that Krieg assisted Maya, Axton, Salvador, Gage, and Zero in helping the Crimson Raiders fight for Sanctuary during that final DLC. Now, the next audio log can be found in Canavora. It's actually hidden in plain sight, as most players will just blitz through this area because it's usually filled with tons of enemies, but if we stop and take a listen, we get to hear a very funny conversation between Krieg the Psycho and Tiny Tina.
Okay, big guy, look, there's a bomb-ass bandit party going over there, and they're only letting in the craziest muckabluckas. Tina's gotta go undercover, so I need psycho lessons.
Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Oh shit, are we certain? Okay, I got this, I got it. Romance the wombat! Lick the sun!
Subjugation for the mind tickle. Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Lick the cheddar biscuit! Become Sean! Huh?
Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Lick the wombat! Fly until dawn!
Unending catastrophe!
I did it? Ha-ha! I did it! Lick the wombat! Lick the wombat! Lick the wombat! Ha-ha-ha! Thanks, Krieg! I haven't had a good teacher since Roland. You wanna come to the party? It's gonna be a rager.
Gnash the teeth! Boop in the chalice! Ha-ha!
Ha-ha! Yeah, we will! Cover your chalices, Pandora!
Now, what's most interesting about this echo log is it's the first canonical conversation between Tiny Tina and Krieg the Psycho. It has been long speculated by fans that Krieg is actually Tiny Tina's father. That's one of the most popular fan theories out there, which is made evident by an old echo log that we could find back in Borderlands 2.
Commencing slag injection on subjects supplied by the Hyperion liaison known as Flesh Stick.
Don't worry, honey. Everything's gonna be okay. Baby, don't look. Sweetheart! Remember that heavy red rock I told you to hide in your dress? Pull the pin at the top, then throw it at the wall!
Mommy?
Just run! Tina! Run!
Now, something that we should note here is that the voice inside Krieg's head is actually Krieg himself before he went insane. He has a bit of a split personality complex, and the voice inside his head is basically his voice of reason. It's the old sane version of Krieg, whereas the other part of him, the psycho version, is basically the embodiment of all the insane psychos that we find across Pandora. In the Tiny Tina Echo log that we just listened to, the voice of her father sounds nothing like Krieg's inner voice, but we're going to be covering that in great detail later on here in this video. Now, going back to Borderlands 3, the next Echo logs can be found all within Conrad's hold. There are 6 of them in total, and here on your screen is going to be where every single one of them can be found. One note of interest, however, is you will need to do the side mission Wildlife Conservation to get access to the final few Echo logs, as they are all locked within a cave that you need that side mission to get access to. The first Echo log can be found right here, and it shows Krieg's inner voice desperately wanting to become fully sane again so he can see an unnamed woman or a girl, but he is struggling because the psycho side of him and his sane side of him are still trapped within the same body.
I thought I could control it. I was getting so close. I can't see her again until... Neck snap songs for the garbage people. Yes, but only for the garbage people. We do not kill the innocent. Die, little man! I'm not going anywhere, and I will take control sooner or later. I'm not going through the castration ringer! Just work with me here, man. We can do this. You just need to listen to me a little bit more. I'll rip the ears from my own skull and eat them raw. I'll take that as a no.
Now, the next Echo log can be found outside, and it shows Krieg's inner voice working once again with his psycho side to communicate like a normal person.
Okay, let's practice. Just say, I've missed you so much. I've missed the helmsman with my parade harpoon! So close, so close. Let's try it again. I've missed you so much. I got a spin axe with your blood on it! Less close. Maybe we can try another one. How about, don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Don't be a walking skin suit or I'll rip the hoses off your chest! Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid, or I'll hurt you! I'd call that progress.
Next up, we find this Echo log, which finally gives us some insight as to what Krieg was like before he went insane. I absolutely love hearing about this. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
I kinda miss the thrill of the hunt. When we used to hunt down those fugitives and mercs for the highest bidder, stalking and sneaking and tracking. We were a highly trained predator. Yowling madness at the midday moon. And now we're this. A ranting, rambling lunatic who can't go 5 minutes without screaming the word blood. Can too! Oh, you're actually listening? I thought you were just tuning me out. Blood nightmare! There it is. Well, it looks like I'm stuck with you. For now, at least. You will not rip the meat man from the small man! Apparently not.
So what's great about this Echo log is we finally know what Krieg did before he went insane. He was essentially a bounty hunter who would hunt down fugitives and mercenaries for the highest bidder. This ties perfectly into the fact that we know that the inner voice will not allow the psycho side of him to kill an innocent human being. If Krieg was essentially a bounty hunter before he went insane, and if he only hunted fugitives and other mercenaries that were contracted to harm innocent people, that would line up perfectly with the theory that he is indeed, at heart, a good person trying to make the world a better place. Let's go ahead and move on to the next Echo log, which can be found in the building right next to where we found the last one. This one ties a lot into fan theories from Borderlands 2, so let's go ahead and take a listen.
I got my revenge on Hyperion. Thought maybe I'd come back after that, but I'm still stuck with you. Am I ever gonna get out of this? I have to poop now! So do it, who's stopping you? At least I get some time to think while we're busy with that. Dropping anchors in the sick pit with fiery rains! Sometimes there's a kind of poetry to your nonsense, isn't there? Even when it's about that. To completion! Yes, we're very proud of us.
So the big takeaway from this log is that the inner voice claims he got his revenge on Hyperion. Now this obviously ties into the fan theory that Krieg is actually Tiny Tina's dad, because it was indeed Hyperion who killed both of her parents in the echo log that we listened to earlier. What sort of debunks this theory, however, is that Krieg is said to be the way he is because of Hyperion experiments, which is evident on his wanted poster in Borderlands 2. As you guys can see, he is listed as the property of Hyperion, so it's safe to say that he was experimented on by Hyperion, though there is no direct evidence that he is Tiny Tina's father, at least as of right now. Hyperion experimented on countless people and creatures during the events of Borderlands 2, so while it's possible that Krieg is the father of Tiny Tina, it's also just as possible that he was another human that got caught up in Handsome Jack's twisted plan. The next echo log can be found within the cave. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the area where you have to do the Talon side quest. It turns out Krieg spent a ton of time in this cave because it was completely abandoned, and the inner voice was finally able to make some progress towards being able to express himself.
It took years of work, but I can finally express myself, even if it's only in the silence of this cave. Quiet can suck a railroad spike through my skull! Lovely imagery. But of course you don't like it. There's no faces to slice open with a buzz axe. But trust me, it's for our own good that we touchy touch with a whip crack on my own backside! If we ever want to see her again, you're gonna have to learn to let me take over. Never with the blood scream, will we? Well, that's up to you, I guess. Can you keep it to yourself? Blast off! Yeah, we'll keep working on it.
So from this echo log, we learn that the inner voice and Krieg want to see her again. The thing about this is there are so many references to quote-unquote her in Borderlands 2 that it's nearly impossible to tell who they're talking about. The fan theory is, of course, her is Tiny Tina, but a much more likely theory is that her is referring to Maya. In the cinematic A Meat Bicycle Built for Two, link to that down there in the description by the way, the inner voice was incredibly infatuated with Maya from the first time that he saw her, as is Krieg, the psycho version of him. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
She's a vault hunter. She's a siren warrior who could kill me with her brain.
What the hell? Is that a psycho?
She's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Tell her she's as gorgeous as 1,000 sunsets. Tell her you need her help. Tell her to rescue you and care for you. And whatever you do, do not scream the word poop at the top of your lungs. I'm the conductor of the poop train! It's over, idiot. You're gonna die here and now, and the last words out of your mouth will have been poop train. Oh, great. Now the rats are arriving. Turn around, Siren. Damn it, turn around or you're dead. Tell her to look back, now. Strip the flesh! No, listen to me. Salt the wound! Yeah, great. We'll salt all the wounds later. But right now, if you don't listen to me, she's gonna die, and it's gonna be your fault. Turn around, pretty lady!
So while it's possible that they keep referring to Tiny Tina, it's also possible that they are referring to Maya, or potentially even some other unknown character, like Krieg's original wife, his sister, his mother, his pet, his grandmother. Heck, it could even be just a friend that they had before everything changed. The final echo log can be found at the very end of the cave, and it further fuels the fan theories about Tiny Tina, but in true Krieg fashion, it's very cryptic and it leaves a lot to the imagination.
I don't know how long I have until it happens again, but I need to remember her. I need to remember her face. Maybe if I can just hold on to that, Someday I'll see her again, and I'll tell her. Ripping jawbones off the torture meat! No, damn it. Can't believe I'm still stuck with you after all this time. I'm never settling until the dead bloat writhes inside my carcass. Till death do us part, huh? Terrific. Maybe we can work out some kind of shared custody situation with the... Spinax is always thirsty for the meat juice! Great. Well, at least I can finally speak a little bit. Even if it's only in here. Alone. Or at least as alone as I can get. Ugh, friends forever. Now shut up!
So with this being the final Krieg echo log in Borderlands 3, this sparks up many questions. As you guys just heard, the inner voice wants to remember her face. He hopes that he can see her again and tell her something, but of course the inner voice is cut off by Krieg. The inner voice then suggests that maybe the two of them can work out some sort of shared custody situation with the something. Again, he gets cut off by the Psycho version of him, so we have no idea if he's talking about Tina, or if he's talking about his body, or Maya, or maybe a pet, or any number of other things out there. The amount of possibilities is nearly endless. Krieg's character is much more fleshed out than it ever has been before, but it still leaves fans with just as many questions as they had before. When we meet Tiny Tina in Borderlands 3, she is approximately 18 to 19 years old, because keep in mind, the events of Borderlands 3 take place roughly 5 years after the events of Borderlands 2, where she was referred to as the world's deadliest 13-year-old. It seems unlikely to me that the inner voice is discussing custody of Tina, because she's a full-blown adult by now. Also, since we saw that Krieg and Tina had a conversation via one of the echo logs, it seems incredibly unlikely to me that the inner voice is trying to find Tina and tell her that he's her father, because he has spoken to Tina at least one time in the past, and this is further proven by the fact that Krieg was a playable character in Borderlands 2. Because he was a playable character, this means that Krieg, canonically, could have taken part in every single mission within the game, and therefore he and Tina got a ton of time to interact together, and there was never any special dialogue between the two of them. In conclusion, I feel as though Krieg's story is still completely up in the air. All we know is that he was once a bounty hunter that hunted down fugitives and mercenaries, and at some point he was captured by Hyperion and experimented on, most likely with Iridium, and since then he's gone completely insane. He still has an inner voice of his former self inside there somewhere, but since he is still on Pandora and presumed to be alive, I think it's entirely possible that Krieg will be making a return as either an NPC or a playable DLC Vault Hunter here in Borderlands 3. If you take a good hard look at the story of Borderlands 3, and there are some mild spoilers here, there are a ton of big characters that were in the game, but even more big characters that were surprisingly missing. Krieg is one of them, obviously. We find stuff about him via these echo logs, but we also did not get to see Salvador, we didn't see Axton, Gage, or Athena. In the Borderlands franchise, it is incredibly common for playable Vault Hunters in one game to become major story NPCs in the next game. We of course saw that with Roland and Lilith, Brick, Mordecai, Maya, and Aurelia, but the rest of the aforementioned Vault Hunters are nowhere to be found in this game, right? With 4 major DLC updates set to release with this game, along with a ton of free holiday events and world events, I think it's entirely possible that we're going to see the return of these Vault Hunters later on down the line. I'm also holding out hope that there are going to be some DLC Vault Hunters as well. I've talked about it many times here in the channel, but Krieg is my favorite character in the Borderlands franchise. I think it's pretty evident by the fact that I made this video here today, but one big problem with Krieg back in Borderlands 2 was that his action skill was completely useless unless you were completely building into melee. If Krieg were to return as a playable character in Borderlands 3, he could have 3 different action skills as well as some completely new abilities, and I personally think that would be a lot of fun. I suppose time will tell what the future holds for everybody's favorite Psycho, and as always, I will keep you guys posted every step of the way as we learn more about the future of Borderlands 3, but man, I just can't wait for that. I cannot wait to learn more about Krieg. It's pretty obvious he's not going to be referred to as Tiny Tina's father, but Are we going to see him again? What's he going to be like? In all those echo logs, they refuse to show what he looks like, so is he going to have a different appearance? Like, there are so many questions right now. I'm going to end off the video by passing the question off to you guys. What do you think is happening to Krieg right now? Where do you think he is, and do you see him making a physical appearance in Borderlands 3 in the future? Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you guys all so much for listening, and just to properly wrap things up here, I'm going to end off the video by playing all of Krieg's echo logs in order, and I'll put a timestamp to each of them down there in the description, just in case you guys want to come back to this video and skip ahead to just listen to the echo logs. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up the video here today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop me a rating, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
Unjust calamity!
Easy, Krieg. It's okay. You heard what Lilith said. Sanctuary's gone, but we're all still Vault Hunters. Including you.
Booped out by the vengeful Rictus!
You aren't just a psycho anymore. Not to me. Not to any of us.
A knotted gut! 2 knives entwined!
I can't stay. I have to go to Athenas. I left those people defenseless, and I have to know more about what I am. It feels important.
Torn apart from pretty lady.
Don't worry, big guy. I'll be back. I promise.
Okay, big guy. Look, there's a bomb-ass bandit party going over there, and they're only letting in the craziest muckabluckas. Tina's gotta go undercover. So I need psycho lessons.
Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Oh shit, are we certain? Okay, I got this. Romance the wombat! Lick the sun!
Subjugation for the mind tickle. Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Lick the cheddar biscuit! Become Sean! Huh?
Lick the wombat! Flay until dawn!
Lick the wombat! Fly until dawn!
Unending catastrophe!
I did it? Ha-ha! I did it! Lick the wombat! Lick the wombat! Lick the wombat! Ha-ha-ha! Thanks, Krieg! I haven't had a good teacher since Roland. You wanna come to the party? It's gonna be a rager.
Gnash the teeth! Boop in the chalice! Ha-ha!
Ha-ha! Yeah, we will! Cover your chalices, Pandora!
I thought I could control it. I was getting so close. I can't see her again until... Neck snap songs for the garbage people. Yes, but only for the garbage people. We do not kill the innocent. Die, little man! I'm not going anywhere. And I will take control. Sooner or later. I'm not going through the castration ringer! Just work with me here, man. We can do this. You just need to listen to me a little bit more. I'll rip the ears from my own skull and eat them raw. I'll take that as a no. Okay, let's practice. Just say, I've missed you so much. I've missed the helmsman with my parade harpoon! So close, so close. Let's try it again. I've missed you so much. I got a spin axe with your blood on it! Less close. Maybe we can try another one. How about, don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Don't be a walking skin suit or I'll rip the hoses off your chest! Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid, or I'll hurt you! I'd call that progress. I kinda miss the thrill of the hunt. We used to hunt down those fugitives and mercs for the highest bidder, stalking and sneaking and tracking. We were a highly trained predator. Yowling madness at the midday moon. And now we're this. A ranting, rambling lunatic who can't go 5 minutes without screaming the word blood. Can too! Oh, you're actually listening? I thought you were just tuning me out. Blood nightmare! There it is. is. Well, it looks like I'm stuck with you. For now, at least. You will not rip the meat man from the small man! Apparently not. I got my revenge on Hyperion. Thought maybe I'd come back after that, but I'm still stuck with you. Ugh, am I ever gonna get out of this? I have to poop now! So do it, who's stopping you? At least I get some time to think while we're busy with that. Dropping anchors in the sick pit with fiery rains! Sometimes there's a kind of poetry to your nonsense, isn't there? Even when it's about that. To completion! Yes, yes. We're very proud of us. It took years of work, but I can finally express myself. Even if it's only in the silence of this cave. Quiet can suck a railroad spike through my skull! Lovely imagery. But of course you don't like it. There's no faces to slice open with a buzz axe. But trust me, it's for our own good that we touchy touch with a whip crack on my own backside! If we ever want to see her again, you're gonna have to learn to let me take over. Never with the blood scream, will we? Well, that's up to you, I guess. Can you keep it to yourself? Blast off! Yeah, we'll keep working on it. I don't know how long I have until it happens again, but I need to remember her. I need to remember her face. Maybe if I can just hold on to that, someday I'll see her again and I'll tell her. Ripping jawbones off the torture meat! No, damn it. Can't believe I'm still stuck with you after all this time. Never settling until the dead bloat writhes inside my carcass. Till death do us part, huh? Terrific. Maybe we can work out some kind of shared custody situation with the... Spinax is always thirsty for the meat juice! Great. Well, at least I can finally speak a little bit. Even if it's only in here. Alone. Or at least as alone as I can get. Ugh, friends forever. Now shut up!